Welcome everyone. Today we'll be discussing on the topic recruitment and selection, as the case might be known to every one of them. Without recruitment and selection, any organization doesn't basically exist, because recruitment and selection ensures the availability of employees to the organization's purpose. Remember, we are all working for an organization to serve one particular objective and achievement of the goal thereof. So let us understand the very important criteria functions of human resource management is recruitment and selection in this particular video. So agendas, we will explore and understand the method used by organizations, various method mind you, for recruitment and selection of employees, legal issues thereof, what are there if any, human resource roles in the process altogether, and the roles of the supervisors, the peers in the recruitment and the selection of the team members as the case might be. This is what will encapsulate this particular presentation. Remember, hiring the right person is the ultimate motto of recruitment. What is meant by the right recruitment? It is the person with the right skill with an appropriate time for an open position within the organization at a right pay scale. So that is what we are looking into, the right hiring purpose. As a recruitment, it is basically attracting individuals in sufficient, plentiful of numbers, if I may add so, with the right skills and appropriate time when there is a position which is open within the organization, as the case might be. Recruitment issues, the alternatives to recruitment, we have the four alternatives that comes around it is an outsourcing, contingent, labor, part-time employees, and overtime, as the case might be, which is usually the case which comes to you over a period of time that needs to be notified. Now, let us understand the cost of recruitment and selection thereof. What are the various costs that needs to be entangled around it? Replacing supervisory, technical, managerial, personal cost can cost you approximately 50% of the salary at times. Cost of recruitment selections, that is what we are looking into. If there are frequent, and or should I say frequent recruitment selection, or there's a high attrition rate, probably doesn't shows very good on the health of the organization. So there are the issues that we not need to go around it. Now, internal environment. Now, where do we recruit from? There are two environments that an organization works upon, operates upon. It's the internal one within the organization, then external one, external to the organization. When we are talking about recruitment from the within the organizations, we are either talking about promotions or demotions, as the case might be. And believe me, it has its own advantages when we have recruitment from internal things, probably through a transfer, probably through promotions, or any other viable options. The pluses and minuses needs to be reworked upon it. What are the advantages? Let me first ascertain you that it builds the loyalty among the employees because they have been rewarded for their exceptional work towards the organization. It acts as a motivational tool and definitely speeds up the process of getting the work around it. You always should know in the things that the employees who have been promoted or been transferred knows the organizations inside out, so they will not be having any problem in asserting to their positions, new position, if I may add so, and effectively start delivering from the day one itself. Now, what are the disadvantages? Did I say every coin has two sides? If you are recruiting from internal candidates, there might be some disadvantages. First and the foremost thing, it has to be filled by a position vacated by a promoted employee. If there is this particular condition that comes around it, that means you are in dearth of ideas. People are from the same bloodstream, same ethos, same culture. There are no new ideas which have been filled into the organization. That is what we will be hinted upon. Creativity will be absolutely minimal. But then what other factor that creeps in? One factor that creeps in is jealousy. Now, because you need to understand, employee will be promoted, but what about the rest of the co-workers of that same employees? They will not be promoted, or they will feel left behind, or in simple word, cheated. Out comes the jealousy factors. This might be detrimental to the overall operation of the organization. Internal environment is all about nepotism. People are known to the with their colleagues, co-workers, friends, relatives, as in the case might be. Now they might try to promote their own acquaintances and because it suits them in the long run. So this is discriminatory. Yes, must ensure that individuals are not in a supervisory position if you are managing their own relatives. Now, this will create a kind of monopoly within the organization and increase user favoritism, that as the case might be. These are the pitfalls of internal recruitment, if anything. So let us understand what is the other options. Other options being the external recruitment or external environment, the labor market condition. There are two conditions which you usually go around in the economy: the strong economy and the weak economy. In the strong economy, everybody is gainfully employed. In fact, there are dearth of employees and there are plentiful of opportunities lying around it. So there is something called difficulties in hiring. Whereas on the cases of weak economy, that means uh, there are too few of an opportunities available and too many of an applicants. That is another squeezed position that comes around it for the external environment. So let us understand how we can process these discrimination issues as on when on basis. Now we have something called civil rights issues. At times people are supposed to look into an activities and everybody should have possess the equal opportunities, be it, and there cannot be any kind of discrimination, be it on the age basis, on the demographic basis, on the culture basis, on the skin color basis, on the religion basis. And then we have something called pregnancy discrimination for the ladies around it. Uh, it often has been seen or been heard or probably felt that people who are trying to plan a family for themselves will be taking a large chunk of a year or the annual year off just because they want to deliver baby, and this might be detrimental towards the overall productivity of the organization. So we should have this thing in places. Then we have the Disabilities Act, as the case might be. People from physically challenged background should be given an equal opportunities. In fact, they should be properly represented in case there are not ample amount of avenues for them to work upon it. You should find out certain soft jobs which they will be able to carry it out. Local regulations also state that you should be recruiting from the people in and around the vicinity of the organization, which can further go against the discrimination process altogether. So these are the issues that looks at the recruitment things. Now, internal recruitment, job posting, what can be done? The process of announcing the job posting to the employees, you can do it in your social media, in the within the organization, the social media platform, if you have any. Probably send a bulk mail if you don't have those platform around it. Remember, it's your duty as an HR fellow to circulate the information and make it available to all employees. Ensures minority workers and disadvantaged individuals are aware of the job opportunities. Employee cynicism occurs when there is equal opportunities to be open position. We can always promote something called referral program. Why? Because this is one of the cheapest mode of recruitment. And also it's often believed to be the best mode of recruitment because you have been referred by somebody else, and in case the new hire does something wrong, the referred person can be put solely responsible to that particular issues thereby. Talking about the external recruitment, we have the employment agencies, as in the placement agencies, the consultant agencies, the executive search firm. Then we have the in-house, the HR fellow himself or herself actually goes around for the recruitment purposes. We can go for local advertisements, local advertisement both in your newspaper, in your multimedia things. Then there is something called internship. Internship can be offered to the people who are in the campus programs and pursuing their education, or at the final semester of their particular education, completion of their education. So internship can be offered to them, the job fair, the college recruitment, and the walk-in candidate, as the case might be. This will help you augment the recruitment process. Internet recruitment is their advantages: inexpensive, definitely yes, quick and easy to post an announcement. Response becomes much quicker, and it is more importantly has very transparent stepwise, so will generate a wide range of an applicant can be screened, often is screened by the computers themselves. They will set up these stringent criteria that needs to be felt in case they have been filtering to passing those through the filter would be shortlisted and probably intimated accordingly. Some selection tests can be administered by the computer themselves, as in few questions that can be put in, wherein you can say, are you willing to relocate? Are you willing to move in a particular month for a considerable period of time? These things can be sorted out by the computer themselves there. The automated applicant trackings, as the case might be. Disadvantages are ease of submission will result in a lot of applicants, many of whom are absolutely not qualified. Many take more human resource time to sort out the greater quantity of applicant, which are the disadvantages as far as recruitment is concerned. So ease of applicant will applications mode will mean actually an n numbers of applicant. In fact, anybody who have heard about it would put in show their interest about it, and that will be time cumbersome. Recruitment for diversity and ethnical diverse background is what will facilitate creativity, which will enhance expansion into a different global market. So recruitment must generate applicants from a different varieties of individuals. Train recruiters to use objective standards, as the case might be, include pictures of minority, disabled employees on the recruitment flyers. Make sure your ads and interviews are always in bilingual. One in the national language, the other would be preferable in the English or in a vernacular languages, if any per se. So this is what the recruitment for diversity is all about. It you are trying to attract everybody from the audiences and are not being biased or not being seen as biased recruiter. The dilemma, what is the dilemma the HR is always into with respect to the employee referral? Now organization can have a referral program to find employees from the assembly part. Probably program is effective, I had also mentioned, so it's one of the most cost saving procedures, but no candidate from protected groups may be referred or hired at all. Why could the organization be guilty of discrimination? You need to tell me out, because people from diverse background might not be properly represented in the very first place, and the people who have been referred might be from the similar clan, similar background, and so on and so forth. Should the organization abandon the referral program, as the case might be? You let me know as what should be the situation. The employment application. Let us forward with an employment application. Application must include what all things? The information about the name, date, signature, and validity of the information, the statement of the employment at will is permitted, and permission to check the reference of the employees as such of the applicant. Sorry. So that is what the permission need to be given a certain, and what should be avoided when if you have a pre-printed employment application form or a filled in online application form, what should be avoided is discriminatory information, probably on the basis of gender, probably on the basis of religions, probably on the basis of skin color, ethnicity, and so on and so forth. Uh, any data with respect to the citizenships and the social security number, we need to go around it, the disability information, the past salary levels, and so on and so forth. This is what is to be taken aside altogether. The birth date, the education date. Many candidates are not comfortable in revealing their birth date. Driver license information, unless it is a job requirement, unless you are looking for a driver, unless the job entails extensive traveling and the individual has to travel with their own vehicles, or for that matter with the company provided automobiles. Talking about screening of the interviews, this is what we need to go around it. Now, screening interviews may be conducted online, offline, via telephone. You need not do it in place on the venue itself. It can be done in a different location. So essentially, most of the organizations don't even employ screening interview in the very first place. A basic few straight questions have been done, which will eliminate the tendency of a person to find out whether they are suited for the job or not, can eliminate the less qualified early in the selection process. Now, selection test. What happens with the selection test? In case there's a large number of applicants have been there, we look for an instrument that used to make decision about a potential employee. Talking about standardizations, uniformity of procedures and conditions related to the administering test, as the case might be. We'll talk about reliability, the extent to which a selection test provides consistent results. Yes, validity, the extent to which test measures what it claims to measure. If it claims to measure my intelligence, it should be a valid test. If it tends to measure my technical knowledge, it should be the valid test. Do higher test score relate to higher success in the job? This is one question that needs to be further probed on. Now let us understand the kinds of selection tests that comes around it. We have the cognitive aptitude test, which takes about the mental fitness and the strength in terms of reasoning, vocabulary, verbal and numerical skills are concerned. Then we have the job knowledge test. Did I say about the technical skills? It measures the knowledge regarding a particular job. Work sample test is where actually the candidate or the applicant is asked to show a demonstration of their work. Probably a chef might be asked to cook something for them. A software engineer would be asked to code certain things for the employer, for the employers or prospective employer, so that their proficiency is being ascertained out there. Psychomotor abilities test assesses the skill levels of the task required in the job. Personality test assesses the traits and personal characteristics that has been there, that is required. They are used to determine if the candidate, if the applicant is the right fit for the organization. Vocational interest test identify occupation in which the candidate is mostly interested in. Honesty and integrity test tries to measure the candidate truthfulness. This is what is we require at the end of the day for the various selection of tests. Interviewing candidates. Let us understand there are various modalities of interviewing candidates and probably subjecting them through the selection process. It can be an individual interview or it can be a team interview. Both had its pros and cons. We can opt for a structured or a pattern interview, as in a pre-set of questions to be asked by all the candidate to all the candidates, and depending upon their responses, we further fragment it or select it or shortlist it. Then there is something called non-directive interviews in which there's minimum number of questions and absolutely nothing has been planned in advance, and open-ended questions have been asked, and then you basically go by the flow. Whatever the candidate leads, whatever you feel comfortable in, and you ascertain the intelligence level, the stress levels of the candidate, the technical know-how of the candidate with a non-directive interviews also. Then we have something called situational and a problem-solving interview. Candidate describe how he or she would solve a problem. That needs to be understood every now and then. Behavioral interviews, a candidate describe how he or she responds to specific situation, as in what we are looking forward to it. And that is what behavioral interviews will always be very important. So did I say about team interview, individual interview, structured interview, pattern interview, non-directive interview, situational interview, problem solving interview, and behavioral interview, as the case might be? Let us come with the most vibrant thing which enables us to find out whatever being scrutinized for whatever selection process one has undergone, is it been valid, can it be validated? Yes, it can be validated through a reference check or background verification. The importance of checking is, I'll tell you the factual things. What has research has been told, telling us out prominently. It says 40% of an applicant lie about the work histories, about their work, educational background. 20% of the applicant falsify credentials and licenses thereby. So 40 and 20, you look at it, we are already at the 60% of the cases. Now can we add it by another 30%? 30% of the applicant make misrepresentation on their resume. Now, believe me or not, this misrepresentation can be a part of the educational background, can be a part of their work history, can be a part of anything, let's say about their job area and things like that. So you see, by any chance, by all chances, almost 50% of the time, you are sure that the candidates or the applicant, whatever they claim, must be a little bit fabricated or extrapolated altogether and may not stand the test of time or can be verified. So, what better way to go by for a background verification? Go for the reference check that the candidate has provided, talk to them, speak with them, probably get a confirmation about whatever has been claimed by the applicant. Talking about legal liabilities is the defamations, the act of harming the reputation of another by making a false statement of a third party. This is what I call defamation act, which goes around it. If you uh, comes into a certain sort of litigation during the recruitment and selection procedure, this is what has been meant around it. The negligence, the failure to exercise the standards of care that a reasonably prudent person would have exercised in the same situation. Legal liabilities and negligence. The negligent referral, the legal risk incurred when a past employer absolutely fails to warn the potential employer of an inherent danger that has been presented by the former employee. And this is what we need to come across with. This is negligent referral, a person who has not given complete trust, complete faith, and been very honest about the references that has been done. And then we can always have a negligent hiring where the liability will fail to conduct an employee's a reasonable investigation of the employee's background, applicant background, may I say so, and assigns a potentially dangerous person to a position where he or she can inflict harm on himself or herself, on the organization, on the community as a sort. So when your procedures, when your selection procedures might be faulty, or they might have exploited the selection procedures for their betterment, and you end up hiring the wrong person for the job, and that is what a negligent hiring would always be. Negligent referral is when the previous employer does not be very honest with their feedback as such, and that is what the negligent references comes around it. So let us go with the job offer. Making the job offer is to be done by the phone, definitely yes, letter or in person, either way you can go around it, by the mails, by the phone, or in the person. Make arrangement for further condition, physical examination and drug screen. Discuss salary and benefits. Avoid quoting an annual salary. Realistic job previews. Verify the employment eligibility forms as the case might be, as we are looking into it from time to time with every passage of things. So you need to be very diligent with your job of the process. So the dilemmas, let's say, let's just have per se around it. Let's say having a landscaping company requires a legal alien. So what is legal aliens to provide a permanent residence? People who have come into your country without the requisite document at the point of time of hire. The company eventually hires the workers and verifies his or permanent residence is card is legal. So is the company actually doing something wrong towards the nations, probably towards the Immigration Reform and Control Act? What changes in procedure would you suggest to the company as a result of this scenario? So we need to understand everything about the legal aliens, about the immigrations, about verification, about the background checks. Remember, evaluating a recruitment selection process is based on four things. The one is cost. What was the cost involved into it? What was the time? How long did you take the time between the vacancies being created and the vacancies being fulfilled? Quality, was the applicant well qualified? Are you have you might be doing a very good job as far as fulfilling the vacancies, but at a compromised quality of our applicant, is that sufficient? And longevity, the most important criteria. A person newly hired, how long he or she stays with the organization. If he or she stays within less than 6 months, it is a very bad hire. More than 1 year would be a moderate. Anything above 2 years would be reasonably considered to be a successful hire. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.